Okay, so today we just kind of wanted to give you a taste of what we get at Young and Alive. So before, I'm just going to introduce myself a bit more. So as y'all heard before, I'm David, and I'm a grateful believer in Christ. I struggle with anger and pride, and we're going to do our ages and our favorite food for introductions. I'm 14 and my favorite food is tacos. So yeah. So before I introduce them, or they introduce themselves, over at YA, I'm just going to talk about what we do. So usually we have like a group discussion. My mom and my dad, Stephanie Peace and David Peace, they're the leaders of the program. They're amazing. I love them so much. Okay, but usually what they do, they prepare questions, and during whole group discussion, they ask the questions, and then usually we answer, so we kind of wanted to do something similar here. And I'm just going to explain how the weeks are set up real quick. So the first week of the month, usually we analyze the step, and we break it down in to simple parts, like word by word, and that's what we're going to do today since it's week 1. And then on the second week, we connect the step to a Bible story or a character. And then week 3, we apply it with an adult testimony. So an adult would go over to Young and Alive, and they would give their testimony. And then the 4th week, we reflect on how the step applies to us. So I'm just going to go ahead and let the panel introduce themselves. So who wants to start? Just like your name, how old you are, and your favorite food. Here, Bryce, you can start.
Oh, wow, all right. My name is Bryce, and I like carrots. They're pretty good, and and I'm also 12.
Hello, I'm Colton. I am 14 years old, and my favorite food is, I'll say a taco, I guess, just a normal taco.
And then Riley.
Hi. Hello. All right. Hi. I'm Riley. I really don't know what my favorite food is. That's crazy. What's up? I'm Riley.
Hey, Riley.
I'm about to turn 13, so that's crazy. And I'm 12. I'm 12. Hello. Yeah, no, I'm about to. I guess my favorite food is like ramen or something. I don't know.
Okay, hey y'all, my name's Tegan. Hey Dakota, hey Josh. Hey y'all. Hello all of you. I'm 14 and I don't really have a favorite food, honestly. Like I eat a bunch of different stuff. That just made me sound like a big bag, but it's okay.
Hey, I'm Robbie, and I would say my favorite food is probably like sushi. I don't know.
How old are you?
Oh, and I'm 13.
All right. So that's the panel. And then, so we're just going to go ahead and get started. So if we can get the step. Would any of y'all like to read? Nobody wants to read? All right. We made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. And then Lamentations 3:40, let us test and examine our ways. Let us turn back to the Lord. Okay, so to get started, we're just gonna just describe a few words and explain the definition. So what is the definition of fearless, or what does fearless mean in this case? If anybody wants to volunteer. You want to volunteer?
Thank you. In my words, I believe fearless is, not fearing, of course, and I believe that's like being ready for anything and being ready for what you have to overcome and just not being scared, being, like I said, ready to go. Yeah.
Okay. So now going on to that, name a time when you were fearless. Here, Riley. Yeah. I want to keep my mic. This is mine.
There you go. I believe this is the time I had to be fearless. I've never been on stage in front of this many people, so it's a little scary right now. I just don't want to mess up, and I feel like I just needed to be fearless to come up here and do all that stuff.
Yeah. Does anybody else want to answer? A time that they were fearless. I think we can all say that we were fearless when we came on this stage. I feel like we can all say that.
Yeah, I agree with that. Singing in front of this many people, especially having like an original song, was really nerve-wracking. I know for like the entire band. So like that was, we needed to have, like, be fearless for that. Yeah.
Okay. So, what do you believe fearless means according to the step?
I would say, like, to me, being fearless is just kind of what Colton said, just like trusting the process and trusting what God has for you and just being able to be brave and push through whatever is to come.
Yeah, that's a great answer. Anybody else? Anybody else? Bryce, Riley, Robbie?
I mean, I guess a time when I was fearless is like when I think I was like 8. My dad taught me how to skateboard without like any like safety, no helmet. I was like, okay, Dad. First day I fell off and I like, yeah, no, it was not nice. Yeah, no. So what I think like fearless means is like obviously like this is like my first time singing in front of like this many people, but fearless to me is like, yeah, go with the process. Even though the process might seem scary, Jesus has your back. And there's a saying where it's like, if you see four like footprints, that's the time like Jesus is walking next to you, but when you only see 2 is because Jesus was carrying you. So.
Yeah, I really like that answer, like going through the process. Also, I forgot to say this to the adults. Y'all think of the answers too in your mind because this is not just them. This is something for everybody to think about. So just gonna say that before we move on. Okay, so we made a fearless moral inventory. So what does moral mean? What do y'all think moral means?
I think moral is kind of like your values as a person and as a believer in Christ.
Yeah, the values of a person and a believer in Christ. Could you like expand on like what would be some good moral behavior and like good morals?
Honesty is a big one. That and then just like being able to talk to God and like having daily prayer with him.
Yeah, talking to God and having daily prayer. So would you say that talking to God every day would give you like good morals?
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so obviously talking to God, good morals. We love God. We love God. That's why we're here. Does anybody else want to answer, like, what does moral mean? Colton, you want to answer? Bryce? We got someone new. Let Bryce do it. Let's Bryce do it.
Come on, Bryce,
Yeah,
you got
Bryce.
this.
You just raise your hand. You raise your hands.
I think moral like means like kind of like something in your mind, kind of like intentions.
Intentions. That's a good word. I like intentions. Okay, Bryce. Do you have an example of good moral behavior? Or maybe immoral behavior, not good morals?
Let's see. When I ate all the chocolates from my house.
So would you say in that situation, did you feel tempted to eat the chocolate?
Yes, I did.
Very tempted. Now, let's say, how do you fight the temptation?
Tell my mom to hide it from me.
Sometimes you need to make the first move, and there might be somebody taking it out of your life. Okay, so does anybody else want to answer? Okay.
I think it's like what what is the end goal, I'd say? Like, what do you want to get to, and what encourage you to push on through the hardship? And do you want me to answer, like, what I think would be a good... I think generally trying to be a good person, like, not doing some bad thing behind someone's back without them knowing, and, like, just trying to be a better person, if that's just being kind or helping people in general.
Okay, so being kind and helping people. Yeah, I mean, like, all of those are correct answers. I'm just gonna explain what I have in my notes, just and kind of go off of that a little bit. So what I have written down is that moral is a mindset based off of God's nature and his teaching. So, like, Jesus in the Bible, like, he said all this stuff, like, I'm gonna take the prodigal son, for example. So the prodigal son, he came back to his dad welcomed him graciously. That's not the whole story, but that's a quick summary. But like, that kind of gives us this morality that God loves us and that we can just go back to him anytime, and that we should go back to him because he'll welcome us with open arms. So yeah, and then moving on to the next word, does anybody have a guess? Anybody have the guess what the next word is? What's your guess, Bryce?
Is it inventory?
Yeah, it's inventory. So, okay, what does inventory mean in, like, relation to this step?
Oh wow, that was not it. I'd say, like, inventory is taking a look at, like, what's going on inside of you, like how you're thinking and how you're doing emotionally, physically, mentally, all that, spiritually. It's kind of like what we do at Young and Alive. We have, like, these, what's it called, like, papers, and it's like, how are you doing spiritually, mentally, physically, all that. But yeah, no, it's just good to look at that, because you're like, hey, have I hurt anybody throughout these past few weeks? Hey, have I hurt myself in some type of way mentally, which a lot of people do beat themselves up, and I get that. I struggle with that. But taking that inventory and, like, writing it down and looking at it does help a lot, because, you know, you'll find ways to fix it. And, like, it won't be, like, gone forever, but it does help to, like, look back and see, hey, I've made progress.
And then, is there a time when you completed inventory? Like a time?
No.
No? Okay.
I have, like, 4 journals that I don't have finished.
I'd answer the same, but yeah. She said we're gonna pray for you.
I think we all should, like, pray for Riley. We're all gonna pray over her.
Okay, so Tegan, you wanted to answer?
Yeah, so I'm gonna kind of piggyback off of what she said. It's just like inventory to me is like just having self-awareness and being able, like what she said, to look at yourself and think, what am I doing, like, right or wrong? Yeah, that's kind of my answer.
Like, so you said that basically taking inventory is like making a list of what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that answer because a lot of people think inventory is just looking at bad, like, I need to fix this, but there's also the good things in inventory, and, like, you have to make a complete list of yourself. So I like that answer. You want an answer, Robbie? Robbie wanted to answer, guys.
I think how I see inventory is kind of just like where you are, like taking time to look at where you are in your walk with Christ and with other people. And I don't think I've really completed a certain, like, inventory on something. I think it's kind of like a continuous thing that you keep on, like, moving on with. Even if you've overcame stuff, you can still take time to talk about it and see what you've done right and what you've done wrong.
I forgot to ask Tegan this. Is there a time you completed inventory?
Okay, so it's actually a funny story. So I guess the time that I've completed inventory is I was at school one time, and there was just like a $5 bill laying on the ground. And like I said earlier, like you just look at yourself and think, what are you doing right? What are you doing wrong? Whatever. So I remember seeing the dollar bill or $5 bill and just thinking, hey, I want money. Like I'm broke. I want money. And so I picked it up, but then like as soon as I picked it up, I walked like 5 steps and I was like, that's not my money. Like why did I pick it up? So I went back, put the money right where I found it, and like ran to class because I felt bad. I was like, why did I pick up the money? It's not mine. And then I had to tell on myself, and as soon as I got in the car, when my mom picked me up at carpool, I told on myself, and so I told her, yeah. So, yeah.
Okay, so y'all don't have to answer with a mic, but Colton and Bryce, just give a thumbs up or thumbs down if you've done an inventory on yourself. Just thumbs up or thumbs down. I said thumbs up or thumbs down. Guys, the only reason I'm doing this, we're friends. Don't talk to a random stranger like that. Not that they're random strangers. I love them all, but I'm closer to Colton. No offense, guys. We've been friends since 1st grade. But would any of y'all would either one of you like to explain a bit, or it's fine if you don't want to. You want to?
About like the moral, like what moral means?
No, inventory. Time you've completed inventory.
Time I've completed inventory was like a bully was like bullying me, obviously. But I snipped at them and I was like, stop bullying me, and I was like being really mean to them, and then I was like, wow, I shouldn't have done that. So I went back to them and made amends.
Okay, so quick question, everybody. Who struggles with making amends to somebody? I'm gonna raise my hand very high. Do you struggle with making amends? Yeah, so sometimes even just taking an inventory is just thinking like, what should I do to make it right? And even that too. Okay. So just think of a relationship in your life. And then also you guys think of a relationship in your guys' life too. It could be the person you're sitting next to. But just think of a relationship in your life and just think, what does it mean to do a moral inventory relating to that relationship? I'll give y'all a little bit to think. All right, Bryce, you want to answer?
Well, see, like explain a time.
Yes.
One time I was like with my mom and we were like arguing at each other. And me and her were like apologized because like we were like sitting in our room mad, obviously, usually. And I was like, I shouldn't have done that. And she was like, shouldn't have done that. And we came to each other and we were like, I'm sorry.
I'm not going to talk about that. My mom knows why. You can ask her at the end. Did any of y'all want to explain how or just give an example? Riley?
I would say with my dad, because my dad's not here right now, okay? So before he like left to go do whatever, we didn't have a strong connection, but over the time that he's been gone, we've been able to talk. So just having that to like see how we're doing on our relationship, like he checks up on like, hey, are you like, we both make the progress. It's not just gonna take one person to make progress in something that takes 2 people. So I would say it does take you asking the other person, are you okay with our relationship and how it's going? And just having the moral inventory of checking in on each other, and like if they're going off track of something that's not 100% good, I would say try to correct them, but like don't be mean about it, you know?
Yeah, that's good. Does anybody else want to? Robbie?
I think to think of one, probably my relationship with my sister, Addison. She's in the military, so I haven't gotten to see her for a good bit, and our relationship is perfectly fine. It's just, I think what it would mean for me to do a moral inventory on my relationship with her is just looking to see what I can do to like fix my behaviors and how I reach out to her, and also finding the time to spend more time with her because I don't get to see her in person like many other people do with their siblings. So yeah.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard to be away from somebody that you love. Yeah, I feel that. Okay, so we're on honesty. That's the step we're on, right? So, kind of the last question, but what does honesty mean? I want everybody to answer, like, what does honesty mean? And then just the first half of it is, all right, you want to start with Robbie and just go on this way?
I think what honesty means is kind of just like telling the truth and just being like honest. I use the word, but like, sorry. Kind of just like doing the right thing even when no one's looking, like having integrity, taking the time to do the right thing, and yeah, and what does it mean to do an honest moral inventory? I think telling the truth to yourself when you're doing those moral inventories and looking back at your behaviors and how you've been treating other people in your life and your values and your relationship with God too.
Well, I will say that Robbie just took like my entire answer. But in Robbie's words, being honest is being honest. Yep. I kind of like wrote down what he said, just having humility, and another thing I wrote down is being able to like hold myself accountable and be honest with myself. Kind of goes back to the last question, or whatever question it was, like being able to hold myself accountable for what have I done, like, and how I've treated people. So, yeah.
They both stole my answer.
Let me guess, your answer is
But I will say,
being honest.
But I will say, to be honest, you have to be honest with yourself first.
Now I have a very moving one. It's being honest, of course.
You would have never thought.
What a surprise. But I think it's being true, of course not lying, and being honest. They took everything I think I could say.
Can I just say something first? When you answer with a definition, you do not use the word in the definition. Bryce, if you say being honest, come on, I'm gonna kick you off the stage.
I think it means to be truthful and like own up to whatever you did, and like to be responsible and like, yeah.
To own up to whatever you did.
I'm not saying honest.
The first person on the stage that did not say the word honest. Okay, so when I think of honesty, the act of being free from hiding something.
That's a good.
That's my definition of honesty. And then we're gonna go back around, starting with Bryce, and I'll go last again. How is there power in doing an honest moral inventory? Do you want to go first, Bryce? Or do you want to?
You told me to. I think an honest moral inventory is to be true to yourself and not lie to get out of whatever you need to do of the inventory. Yeah.
So what is the power in doing that?
It's very strong because, like if you're being honest to yourself, you can be honest to the others of that.
Yeah. All right. Colton?
I think it is, I think it's like checking back on like the actions, the people in your life, the things you've done, being honest with yourself. Has this helped me get closer to God? Has this brought me away from being closer to God? And I think it's powerful because it can help you change if you're getting closer or if you're going farther away.
Can I just say something, guys? These guys are super smart, obviously. If y'all couldn't tell, they're amazing. Thank you, Colton. I know, I am amazing.
Humble.
Yes, I'm very humble too.
You can go.
I would say an honest moral inventory. That's a lot of words.
It is.
I'd say that it's being true to yourself and the other person, checking in on how the relationship is doing, and doing that will strengthen your relationship 10 times more. And you can do that with Jesus and the people in your life physically. You know, not saying, all right, you know.
Okay, real quick, before Tegan does her answer, when you say being honest with others, would you say that's difficult sometimes? Riley?
Yeah, it's always hard because like before you realize that, hey, I need to do the right thing, and necessarily you don't always know what the right thing is, but you do know. That's the difficult thing.
It's like, what do you mean by you do know?
So like you know you should do something, but you're like, but I don't want to, and you're like, okay, I should, and you end up doing it like the good person you should be. I'm gonna be watching you, okay?
Okay, Tegan, you can do your answer.
Okay, I'm gonna need to start going first from now on because y'all have taken all my answers. But what I said, like in the power of having a honest moral inventory, is you just build like strong, trusting relationships with people. Like I can name a good amount of people that I've had to put work in for, because that's the thing with relationships. Like you have to put work in. And that's looking at yourself and thinking, like I said earlier, what am I doing right in this relationship or friendship? What am I doing wrong? So I can think of like a couple people, but some of them don't want to be named. But one person I can think of is my mom, because we just really worked on our relationship. So, yeah. Okay.
Robbie?
Okay.
All right, Robbie,
How do I word this?
did they steal your answer?
Kinda. Well, I think there's power in doing an honest moral inventory because it strengthens you as a person and it strengthens the relationships that you have with God and the people around you. And I think there's also power in that, because without that you wouldn't be able to grow as a person, because you wouldn't be able to see what you're doing wrong and what you're doing right, and how you can strengthen the abilities that you have and the talents and all of that you have, and use that for the glory of God.
Yeah. So I was gonna answer. They took my answer. But if I was to add anything, how's their power in doing an honest moral inventory? I feel like what ends up happening, once you do it once, you're going to start getting used to it. Then eventually, like, that's going to be like the way you live. Like your life is based off of honest moral inventory. And I feel like what happens, like, it just makes you a stronger person, which y'all have said. But yeah, like, it just helps. So that was the last question for honesty, but I have one question left. How has Young and Alive helped in your relationship with yourself, God, and others? Tegan, you said you wanted to go first? Robbie, you want to go first?
How has God, through Young and Alive helped you in your relationship with yourself, with God, with others? God has helped me through Young and Alive, with my relationship with me and my other people, through kind of just like giving me like the patience and the strength to move through those tough times, and also giving me a community to talk to when I'm struggling. Because community, like having community is like one of the biggest things if you want to grow in your walk with God and overcome those big struggles that are going on in your life. And it also has helped me to strengthen my relationship with other people, because in growing in my walk with God and in my walk to overcome these struggles, I'm getting like self-control for one, which is a big thing in relationship with other people. And I'm also just like learning how to respect people, because I'm learning how to respect myself.
Okay. Maybe I do need to start going first. It's fine, though. It's fine. So... Oh, my mind's drawing a blank. Hold up. Okay, Riley, you go next, because I just like went blank.
Would you like to be skipped? Yes. Okay. Colton wants to go?
Yeah, I got it. I can't. Sorry. Through the church, another question. Through the church, and I was invited here by David first, coming to this church on Friday nights. I came with kids, of course, because I was younger. And I moved up to YA. And through YA, I felt like I've built a connection with God more, because when I was coming at kids, I felt like I was coming to see David, my friend. And I felt like I was just there for the games. But as I went to YA, I ended up starting serving. I helped with the slides over there. And I felt like it's helped me want to help the community and get closer to God. And I've just met so many people. Like, I met Bryce at YA, and I've met so many other people who, once again, will boost me and help me get closer to God, bring me up, not pull me down. Yeah.
Riley?
I will say hold up. Because I'm going to twist everything up. All right. So God has helped me through Young and Alive so many ways. For one, I had a lot of trust issues, like I'd say about like a year ago, 2 years ago. I had a whole bunch of other stuff going on too. And I thought I was generally just going there to, hey, for one, go see my friends, for two, because let's be real, my grandmother works over there. I was like, you know what, she's gone, I might as well just go. But I met a really good few people there that have helped me, for one, not fully understand the Bible, but understand why it's important to read it and to look at it, but to also analyze it. And obviously now I'm serving, because I don't know, actually. It's just something I wanted to do. But it's helped me build more relationships and to trust people a little bit more.
Are you ready, Tegan, or you want Bryce to go first?
I think I'm ready. I'm gonna kind of go off what they said. It's just why YA has really helped me, because I started coming here in 4th grade, and like Colton said, I went up to YA, but I didn't know a lot of people. I sat in the back. It was just kind of like Dave said, I went there to hang out with my friends and just be there for the food or something like that. And I realized, actually when I paid attention and going through the steps, kind of like what Robbie said, this church is a community. It's not just a place to come and see people once a week and say, oh, hey, how's your week? And then go on with your day. I've had people at this church check up on me, and it's really given me a good support system through my life, especially with some of the things I've went through. And so YA has helped me with that, and youth, and, you know, the whole church has. But YA has really helped me with a lot of things, including, you know, hearing the steps and knowing how to identify certain things, and it's helped me with my anxiety. And yeah, that's my answer.
All right, and then second to last, Bryce.
All right, so YA has really helped me because it gave me a lot of time to like worship and pray and like tell like people, like such as all these people, like tell them how I really feel, and like instead of like school, you know, because school, you know, you just try to fit in and stuff. So YA is like really good, and like I get a time to worship, and like God has brought me here basically. Well, technically my mom, but like technically God too. but God has really helped me because he brought me here to praise him like we're meant to.
You're welcome. All right, so I'm just going to talk about one specific relationship that I feel like YNA has helped me grow closer with, and that's my mom. Because, like, I don't know, but like God has just like, I feel like through this program, me and her have talked about a lot of stuff, and I feel like we've gotten more in depth in a relationship on a more personal level than we were before, especially ever since she started leading Young and Alive, and she's about to start crying. Please don't. But I love you, and yeah, even though I'm like 5 feet taller than you, I still love you anyways. But yeah, that's it for the panel. So give it up for these 5 people. Yeah, and then before we go back into the altar call, which is The God of Me, it's an amazing song. Like I said before, really amazing song. Y'all are good to go. Yeah, just letting you know, y'all are good to go. If you want to, if you want to go, y'all are good to go. But I just want to leave y'all off with a thought, and I was just going to read something. Matthew 18, 1 through 5. And I'm just going to read it real quick. It'll be up on the screen. At that time, the disciples came to Jesus and asked, "Who is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven?" Jesus called a little child to him and put the child among them. Then he said, "I tell you the truth, unless you turn from your sins and become like little children, you will never get to heaven. So anyone who becomes as humble as this little child is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven, and anyone who welcomes a little child like this on my behalf is welcoming me." So I just want to leave you with a thought. So I feel like here Jesus is saying, sorry, this is dragging. So I feel like here Jesus is saying we have to have faith like a child. And I feel like when he says this, like teenagers, people my age, like Bryce, so many adults tell them to quote unquote grow up. But based on this, I don't believe that we need to grow up, because I actually researched this, because I believe that we need to mature, and I actually researched the definition of mature, and that's to grow and become more like Christ. So I believe adults so many times are telling children, you need to grow up and become an adult in your faith and stuff, but Jesus, like, stay young. And I feel like teenagers just feel so much pressure from adults, from their parents to grow up. And I feel like we just need to help mentor them so that they can mature to become more like Christ. And I'm just gonna leave you with something. So who here has a kid? I'm not gonna raise my hand because I don't have a kid. You have a dog, that's great. I have a dog. I'm gonna raise my hand. I have a dog, but I feel like parents watch over your kid carefully, even when they move out of the house. Like, don't stop fighting for them, because that's what they need. Like, they need parents to fight for them, and because so many kids, they end up losing their faith because their parents stop. And that's one of the reasons why I'm actually up here on the stage today, because my mom and my dad have been fighting for me my whole life. They've been helping me in my journey. Sure, TJ's helped me, but TJ's awesome. But first and foremost, before TJ, my parents. And because of them fighting for me, I would not be standing here on this stage right now. So singers, y'all can come out now. But we're gonna go back into The God of Me. And yeah. So like whenever you're ready.